you have m plus 7, and it equals 11, if I'm not mistaken. All right. So the whole idea is to find out what m is worth. Okay? So m is our variable. We're trying to find out the value of m. Inverse operations tells me that if I'm adding 7 on one side, what I need to do to find the value of m is to take 7 away. But if I'm taking 7 away, I'm not just taking 7 away to one side. It's like a fraction. Whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. Okay? So where I have plus 7 here, I'm going to subtract 7. When I do that, what am I left with? 0. So if I'm doing this on one side of the equal sign, I have to do it to the other. So if I subtract 7 from this side, what is 11 minus 7?
4.
4. So m equals 4.
That's all you have to do.
That is all you have to do. And if I plug it in, I can actually check my work. If I plug 4 in for m, 4 plus 7, is 4 plus 7 11?
Yes.
My answer is correct. That's all I have to do. Questions before I do another one? All right, let's look at a subtraction one. Look at B. Somebody read what B says for me, please.
5 equals x minus 8.
X minus 8. So what is my variable in this equation?
X.
X. So I'm trying to find the value of x. But girls, this time, instead of addition, it says that I am subtracting. So what am I going to have to do to both sides of the equal sign this time?
Add.
I have to add. I'm doing the opposite. I'm doing inverse operations. Okay? So if I add 8 here, it's like having 8 and taking 8 away. What am I left with?
16.
I am not. If I have 8 and I take 8 away, that is a minus sign. 0.
I thought you said we were adding.
We are adding, but I have a negative 8 and a positive 8.
Oh.
Those two do what to each other? Cancel each other out. Okay? So I have to, if I'm adding 8 on this side, I have to add 8 on this side. So what is 5 plus 8?
14.
13.
Wow. 13. So that means that 13 equals x. What would I need to do in order to check my work?
Plug
Plug it in. So my new problem is going to say 5 equals 13 minus 8. Is 13 minus 8 5?
Yes.
Yes. I'm done.
This isn't hard.
Questions? Yes, Jessica.
So it doesn't matter that the 13 is in front of the 8, it still reads the same thing?
It reads the same thing. Well, and you couldn't say 8 minus 13, because if you did, it would be a negative number. Okay? Because you can't take a bigger number from 8 without getting a negative number. Any other questions? Okay? So, let's try C. I like C. C is a decimal. Just because it is a decimal does not mean that it is done any differently. Okay? All right, so somebody read to me what C says.
B plus 5.67 equals 12.89.
Okay, and do I read those as points?
No.
No, you say
12
and. Let's try that number again. What's that number?
5 and 67 hundredths.
Let's try this one again.
12 and 89 hundredths.
Perfect. Okay. I am adding. What am I going to do to both sides if my operation as of right now is adding?
Subtract.
Okay, what am I subtracting?
5 and 67.
I have to subtract what's with the variable. You always add or subtract the number on the same side of the variable. So if I'm adding 5 and 6700s here, I'm going to now subtract 5 and 6700s. When I do that, what am I left with?
0.
0. So whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So now I have minus 5 and 6700s. What's 9 minus 7?
2.
2. 8 minus 6?
2.
I bring down my decimal. What is 12 minus 5?
7.
7. Okay? How would I check my work?
Plug it in.
Plug it in. So instead of B, I'm going to say 7 and 2200ths plus 5 and 6700ths equals 12 and 8900ths. And I better not see you checking your work from side to side. How should we set that up?
Up
Up and down.
Yeah,
So if I have 7 and 2200ths, I should add in this manner. So when I do that, 7 and 2 is 9, 6 and 2 is 8, 5 and 7 is
12.
12, and it equals each other. We're going to do one more, and then I'm going to have you do some on your own. Questions before I do that other one? Okay, this next one is fractions. Just because it's fractions, don't get overwhelmed. Yes.
Can't you do the backwards C for this?
Let's get there. All right, D. All right, let me erase this and you read it to me. Hold on. I'm hoping that you're writing this down as I'm going over it too. Okay? All right, read D to me, please.
5 and 3/4 equals X minus 4.5.
4 and 1/2.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this time it's fractions. Oh, that means it's so hard. No. Second, it means it says I'm subtracting. I need to do the inverse operation, which means the opposite operation. So what am I going to do?
Add.
Okay, if I'm adding, what fraction or mixed number am I adding?
4.5.
Why?
Because it's with a variable.
Because it's with the variable. Now, girls, just because it says that I'm adding, I have a negative 4.5 and I have a positive 4.5. What does it do to each other? It cancels it out. It's just like saying I have 4.5 and I'm taking 4.5 away. So when I do that, I am left with nothing. Whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So I have to add 4.5 to this side. I cannot add mixed numbers without having a what?
Like
A
denominator.
common denominator. So girls, what do I need to do? What is the lowest common denominator for these two fractions?
4.
4. So I'm going to need to do what to this one? Because it doesn't have a 4. This one
Multiply by
does.
2.
Okay, so I'm going to multiply this by 2. Can I just bring this one down?
Yeah.
Or bring it, I'm going to bring it down and not over what we're used to. I'm just going to bring it down because it has the 4. Okay? When I multiply this mixed number by 2, the whole number stays the same. So what is 1 times 2?
2.
What is 2 times 2?
4.
So now I can add. What's 3 plus 2? No.
5.
It's not 6. It is 5. 5 over 4. What is 5 plus 4?
9.
9. I have a mixed number, but I have an improper fraction. What do I have to do to 5/4?
Blast it.
Blast it. So I had to say 5 divided by 4. How many times will 4 go into 5?
1.
1. So that gives me 4, and I'm left with 1, which is a mixed number of 1 and 1/4. Girls, this takes the place of this. I have to add that 9 and that 1 and 1/4 together. What does that give me?
10 and 1/4.
10 and 1/4. Now, some of you would have preferred to do the backward C for both numbers, found a common denominator, and then added and then blasted. That's fine with me. Okay? Yes, Harley.
You said that we were adding, and you said if you add, you subtract.
We were subtracting originally.
But I'm talking about when you added the 5 and 3/4 plus the